Welcome back. We are following breaking news this morning. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration is reporting that flights across the country have been grounded. All flights grounded across the country indefinitely due to a computer system outage. The FAA has ordered airlines to pause all domestic departures until 9 a.m. Eastern time to allow the agency to validate the integrity of flight and safety information. We spoke with a Southwest vice president earlier who said he's worried right now, looking at the impact of this. We don't have any more information in terms of what's behind this outage, why the FAA has this outage, and whether or not it was the FAA ordering all airlines to ground all flights, or whether or not the issue is at the FAA, but the airlines have taken it upon themselves to ground flights. Meanwhile, the Republican-led House gearing up to investigate whether White House officials colluded with big tech companies in order to censor speech that it deemed misinformation. Joining me right now is the Newsweek opinion editor and the Josh Hammer Show host, Josh Hammer. Josh, good to see you. You wrote an op-ed about this back in September. What do you think went on?
Maria, great to be back with you. So way back last May, I think the date was, the then Attorney General, current new freshly minted Senator from Missouri, Eric Schmitt, alongside his Louisiana counterpart, Jeff Landry of Louisiana, filed this very compelling lawsuit seeking to expose the depth and the breadth of the collusion and the corruption between the Biden administration and big tech. Obviously, in recent weeks and recent months, we have seen, due to Elon Musk and the Twitter files, we have gotten a peek under the hood. We have seen even more about the extent to which the Biden administration was engaged in weekly, bi-weekly, monthly phone calls with Google and Meta, Facebook in particular. And, you know, the American people saw a glimpse of this for themselves, Maria. If you go back to July 2021, there was this really remarkable press conference where then White House spokesman Jen Psaki basically from the White House podium said that she basically openly admitted to the world that she was working with Facebook. She was talking with Mark Zuckerberg to try to clamp down on COVID, quote-unquote, misinformation. So, you know, the new House GOP majority, obviously the Democrats control the Senate. There's not necessarily a ton that we can be auspicious for when it comes to passing legislation that will ultimately get signed and enacted into law. But at a bare minimum, they should basically pick up the baton from this Louisiana-Missouri lawsuit and engage in their investigative and subpoena power to get Biden administration officials. We know that there are now at least 80 Biden administration officials who have been engaged in these back and forth emails, basically telling Google, telling Facebook, telling Twitter what to censor when it comes to COVID, when it comes to masking, when it comes to the vaccines, when it comes to all of this stuff. So the House GOP really should be right on top of this, but, you know, it looks like they are, so good for them.
Well, I mean, it's just incredible to me. You mentioned the 80 agents. These are FBI agents. There was a task force of 80 FBI agents that were tasked with dealing with the media around the midterm elections, so that going into and around the presidential election of 2020, so that going into the election, the FBI could single-handedly tell social media what to suppress and what to amplify. And they were suppressing truth and amplifying lies. We know that now that the Hunter Biden laptop is real. We knew it then. Fox News was the only one reporting on it, and the others, a couple of others. But for the most part, the FBI was deciding what America could see and what they couldn't see.
Yeah, there's so much wrong here. So from a legal perspective, because I'm a lawyer by training, you know, there was a 1973 Supreme Court case, a little-known case called Norwood versus Harrison. And in the Norwood versus Harrison case, the Supreme Court said that it is, quote, axiomatic, it is self-evident that the federal government cannot immunize purportedly private actors to do that which the federal government itself cannot do. So translated into layman terms, what that means is that the federal government cannot put into affirmative immunization policies in place to, in this particular instance, allow private companies to then censor speech or deplatform people. But we now know, thanks to the Twitter files, that's literally exactly what happens. Obviously, when it comes to the Hunter Biden laptop and the role of the FBI therein, you know, this is a once-a-generation, arguably a once-a-century political scandal. This is big. This is a big deal. You know, this is a very big deal, and it's complete nonsense. It's complete baloney for Democrats to try to dismiss this as some sort of, you know, partisan Republican Republican stunt. We know based on the data, we have seen that as high as I think 16 to 17% of Biden voters in that 2020 presidential election, they said that if they had known about the Hunter Biden laptop story, as was first reported by the New York Post, of course, if they had known about it, they would have switched their votes to Donald Trump. So this is a huge, huge scandal. It also kind of cuts, this September column that I wrote that you kind of very kindly flagged. What I was talking about there was how the Biden regime in general is collapsing this distinction between the public sector and the private sector.
Yeah.
That has sweeping public policy ramifications when it comes to antitrust enforcement, common carrier regulation. So there's a lot to get to here, but it's good that the House GOP is finally getting started.
Yeah, Josh, thanks very much.